Welcome back here on Prime Morning. It's time for us to get into our divorce series, and this month has been dedicated to that. So we told you before the beginning of the month that we want to pay attention to divorce cases here in Ghana, the issue of divorce, the challenges, the financial implications, and so many other things that come to play. And I'm sure so far we've not done bad.
Oh, yes.
We've tried to...
and I've enjoyed how interactive it's been, you know, because we started last week.
Yeah.
It was last week that we started.
Mondays and Thursdays.
Mondays and Thursdays, yes. And so far it's been good. So thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. Please don't stop.
Yeah.
The series
and the
continues. The feedback
has been awesome.
Yes. So please, our WhatsApp line is open. You can send in all your troubles, your worries. Lawyer Sena is here. He will help you go through it all. And, you know, last week, Lawyer put out his number, so I can't wait to ask him.
Okay, he's shared a few of the issues with me. I don't know how. I don't know how
the cases
to deal with them.
Dealt with since then.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's not slept, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, you guys are... Well, he's a fine gentleman. He will know how to balance all of that.
Yeah.
But for those of you who missed out last week, Thursday, Rosalind Felly had that conversation, the continuation from Monday where we began. So we want to take a quick recap. When we come back, Lawyer Sena is here with us. Stay with us.
The institution of marriage is a sacred one, but divorce has become a major obstacle to the success of marriages. As promised, Prime Morning has begun the divorce series this July to help couples facing divorce challenges know that it cannot be the end of life. Where to start a divorce from legally was a topic for the first and second episodes of the series, and Lawyer Sena has helped enlighten us on the legal ways involved in filing divorce petition.
The grounds for divorce is just one.
In the first episode with KMJ on Monday, Lawyer Sena mentioned the first 3 facts to prove that a marriage is beyond reconciliation.
One of the first facts that you can use to establish or prove that a marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation is that one of the parties has committed adultery. Unreasonable behavior is the second one. You can talk about desertion.
That's not all, as he continued with the last 3 facts in the second episode with Rosalind Felly on Thursday.
When it comes to separation for 2 years and then for 5 years, there's usually no problem. You're not fighting, there is no desertion of a sort, because desertion is somehow similar to separation. When it comes to the separation for 2 years, you need a consent, a written consent from your other partner. So the next one is the separation for 5 years. If that happens for like 5 years and then you're all doing your own thing, you're all seeing separate people and you're all okay with it, you don't need consent from the other person anymore. You can just go ahead straight and file your petition.
Now that we are well acquainted with the facts to prove that a marriage is broken beyond reconciliation, here is an admonishment from Lawyer Sena. Keep tuning to Joy Prime Morning, as we delve deeper into more issues concerning divorce every Monday and Thursday throughout the month of July.
All right, so those are some of the things that you missed last week when we started the divorce series. Don't forget that it's going to be throughout the month of July. And so if you're joining us the first time and you've not missed really so much, you can go on social media on Joy Prime to watch some of the episodes that you missed. Look for the Monday edition and the Thursday edition of the show. And I'm sure you get to, have all the things that you've missed. But we're continuing from where we left off. Today we're looking at custody.
Yes.
That'll be our major conversation for today's episode. But before that, let's engage Lawyer.
You know, I actually have a story that I would ask Lawyer, in the course, because something, the person is quite personal, it's quite close to me, but the person isn't in Ghana. But I believe that, somewhat...
Bottom line is the person wants to leave the marriage.
No, you will get there. It's a very interesting...
Is it a long distance marriage?
Is that a long distance, but it's about this whole custody thing. And so, but first, Lawyer Sena Hoto is here with us. And very first question, Lawyer, I want you to let us know the statistics or how many divorce cases currently
you are telling me
dealing with here in Ghana. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Well, thank you guys for having me, and I hope you guys enjoyed your weekend. I did, certainly.
He did.
Why not you?
But I think if I have to recount the statistics, it's maybe a bit scary, but I don't think it's something that we should get alarmed over yet, because there's progress. We're having a little over 8 million marriages registered in Ghana. And unfortunately, we have, per the Population and Housing Census of 2021, we have over 550,000 divorced people here in Ghana. And we're not stopping there. There is also over 405,000 people that are separated. I mean, these guys are married. They have not formally gone through the process to dissolve the marriage. They are staying apart. Effectively, they are divorced, but not officially divorced. And so if you put the numbers together, we're looking at over 990,000 Ghanaians.
And that's 2021.
Yes, that's 2021.
We're in 2023.
So if you can add up the numbers and bump it up, say about 10%, we're across the million mark.
Wow. You know, before we get into the conversation of custody, so I quite remember that one friend of mine who is a lawyer, he told me that he's been having issues in his marriage. But the situation here is he has filed for divorce. He's given the papers to his wife, but the wife is refusing to sign them. But he said that, but he knows that after 5 years, naturally everything will just dissolve itself. Is it true?
Okay, so partly, when we talked about the facts that you can use to prove that the marriage has broken down, one of the last but one element was separation for 5 years. Okay. So if you've separated for 5 years, it only means that you don't need consent anymore. So whether the
without
other party
signing on paper,
no, you can just make the application to the court, prove to the court or establish that you've been separated for 5 years. Amongst the other things that we'll put on your petition, once you're able to establish that, you can go ahead and then, have the divorce.
Okay.
There's a typical issue that I know of that nature as well. So I'm glad that, we're getting the understanding with regards to this one. So basically, that's the statistics that we're looking at. Like you said, it's scary, but, there are others who are also getting married. And the number you're giving for those who are also getting married is just
let me wow you. There are much more of these cases in court. And these do not even form part of the statistics that we've just mentioned.
Okay.
And the statistics we've mentioned are based on those who are the night of the census night were available to give their information out.
Those who were available.
Yes.
The emphasis is on those who were available.
Those who were available to give their information out. And as a very conservative society as we find ourselves here in Ghana, most people would not even want to talk about it. Exactly. So the situation is much dire.
Yeah.
It's much dire. And so I think that it's about time that there's a whole conversation about marriages and then how to make them work. I'm sure that is a conversation we can have for another day.
That's true.
But where it is putting a strain on your life, it threatens your mental health, it threatens the life of your children, I don't encourage anybody to stay.
Let's look at the differences between the Christian and Muslim marriages in terms of divorce. Is the process the same or it's a bit different?
Okay, so when it comes to the law, we have three main types of marriages in Ghana. The customary law marriages, the ordinance, or the ones we call the Christian church marriages, and then we have the Mohammedan marriages. The process for divorce in law remains the same.
Okay.
The distinction here is that for most Muslims, they conduct Islamic marriages, which may be slightly different from
the Christian.
The Mohammedan process as prescribed by law. To tell you the truth, most Mohammedan marriages are irregular because when I say are irregular, it's as good as saying that they're avoidable. They can easily be set aside as not a valid marriage because there is a requirement in law when it comes to the Mohammedan marriages where the marriages have to be registered.
Okay.
And if your viewers who have gone through that process will bear with me, most of the Mohammedan marriages are not registered. In fact, there is a register at the DCE's office that all of those marriages, all the Mohammedan marriages are entered into. And you'll be shocked. The last time I spoke to one municipal chief executive, they didn't even know that they were supposed to do that. And so that invariably means that all the marriages that were conducted within that district, which were Mohammedan, are not valid. It brings to forth a lot of issues when the marriage breaks down and then we have to talk about property and then all of that. It brings a lot of tension.
Yeah.
I mean, for children, we'll discuss that today, children wouldn't be much of a problem.
Okay.
It won't be much of a problem because the law is clear that when a child is born, it doesn't matter whether the child was born out of wedlock, was born in an annulled marriage, or in a properly dissolved marriage. Whichever type of the marriages it is, it doesn't matter. The child is entitled to all the benefits there is for a child of Ghana. So that's essentially what it is when it comes to the Mohammedan or the Islamic marriages vis-a-vis the ordinance and Christian and or the customary law marriages.
Okay. Do you have most Muslim, whether men or women, come to you for legal advice in terms of their divorce or to represent them in any way?
Interesting, because just over the weekend, I mean, after the show, I had a couple call me, you know, with regards to the divorce and then the property. But mostly, you would have the Muslim community would prefer to go through their processes when it comes to the creation of their marriages and then its dissolution by themselves.
Oh.
I see.
But the
so you
law,
may never get to represent any of them in any way?
You would only get to represent them or most of the people from the Muslim community who have contracted the Mohammedan marriage. You only get to represent them when it has to do with property and children.
Okay.
Because the Islamic laws have a different proportion or a different percentage when it comes to distribution of property. So the male child gets more than the female child and all of that. But under Ghanaian law, a child is a child. It doesn't matter whether that child is male or female. A child is a child. So that's essentially it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very
now,
interesting
speaking
stuff.
of children, let's get to today's topic of discussion, which is custody in divorce. Now, walk us through the whole process of custody in divorce. Okay,
so that brings us to the statistics of those that have been separated. So it essentially means that over 405,000 people that are separated are potentially going to go through, if they are already not going through, custody issues.
Okay.
Because until the court pronounce that parent A, the mother or the father, should have custody or should keep the child, you're temporarily with that parent. You're temporarily with that parent. Now, when it comes to custody, when it comes to the law of custody in Ghana, it's broad. So we can talk about custody upon dissolution of a marriage, at the time where the marriage is being broken, dissolved, or There are people who are not even married in the first place, but they have kids. So who gets to keep the child? So all these are types that we discuss. So the custody is just the legal process or the legal process that a person goes through to have a child be under his or her care and protection. So a custody of a child can either go to the mother, the father, or a third person neutral.
Okay.
And so the court has the power to say that Mr., Mrs., from all that we have seen here in court and all the evidences on record, we don't think that you are the right people to take care of this child. And so we'll give custody to the grandfather or the grandmother or another person.
But it has to be a family member, sort of. Or can it go to somebody just outside of the family?
Like a friend?
Yeah.
Or godfather, godmother, titles.
You know how the social welfare can keep your kid. So that's person, a third party like that, a third party neutral, like the social welfare services, can be ordered to keep the kids, where the child is in imminent danger from both parents.
Right.
And there is no family member or a person that is trusted that can go through that process to take care of the kid. So essentially there are about 4 laws or so, about 4 major laws that regulate, custody of children.
Okay.
One of the very first one is the 1992 Constitution, of course. So it generally gives the framework for the protection of children in Ghana amongst all the other bundle of rights. And then one of the single most important piece of legislation when it comes to children in Ghana is the Children's Act. So the Children's Act essentially creates the framework and gives that provision that says that a child, when it comes to matters that relates to the child, their maintenance, their custody, and everything relating to the child, it is the best interest of the child that is paramount. Right. So it doesn't matter whether the father is rich and then the mother cannot afford it, or vice versa. And so because we should give the child to the parent that is rich. No, it doesn't work that way.
Okay.
And that reminds me of talking about your friend abroad story. Yeah. That reminds me of a story of a couple that lived in Germany, and they had a child. They were estranged, and so the custody was given to the mother, and the child and visitation rights to the father. And then the father, came for the kid on one of those visitation rights and told the mother, "Oh, we're going to the shopping mall, we'll be back soon." Next they knew they were in Ghana. They were in Ghana, and then it happens.
Oh,
it happens. And then the mother immediately flew down, went to the court, filed the necessary papers in court. The battle for custody began.
So in this situation, it means that so whatever that was settled in Germany, if she's in Ghana, meaning the whole process would have to start all over again.
It depends. So some countries have reciprocal laws.
Okay.
So that their laws can be enforced.
Applied, yeah, sort of.
And then vice versa.
Okay.
So if that's the case, then it's possible that you just bring the ruling from the other country, bring it here, and then establish that there is that reciprocal agreement between the two countries that allows the enforcement and recognition of the laws, of awards or rulings from one country in country B.
Okay.
You understand? So ultimately, ultimately, the best interest of the child is what is at stake or what is important. Then we also have the Evidence Act, which is saying that when a child is born by a woman where she's married to the man, we're presuming that is your child. So unless you can provide evidence to the contrary, that is your child, and you have responsibilities towards that child. Again, when there's divorce, 30 or 60 days after the separation or the divorce, if a child is born, we're presuming by law that is yours, unless you can, adduce or show evidence to prove to the contrary. And so all these bundle of laws help us to protect our child, and ultimately the goal is the best interest of the child. Sure. And so if you combine the Courts Act, the Matrimonial Causes Act, they give the Courts Act, for example, gives the courts the powers to put together a family tribunal to deal or determine with parentage, custody matters, maintenance, and then all of that. So these are the bundle of rights that protect children in Ghana. Okay. So children are one of the most important and most protected when it comes to divorce, and not only divorce, but in all aspects. Children are the most important aspect of our community. So essentially, that's a conversation.
I want us to look at this case, for example. When there's a divorce process, right, and there's supposed to be custody. Now, is there a way that maybe one of the parent will be keeping the child until the custody is resolved, or the process goes to once and for all?
Okay.
So we do the divorce, whatever it is, and then the custody is announced, and so we know that right from the onset the child is supposed to be with A or B. The case you cited with the Germany people, the time he was running away with the kid, well, in quote, was the divorce finalized? Was the custody pronounced that it's supposed to be with the mother or the father?
Yes,
for him to abort the baby over here?
It was in Germany.
So he was stealing the baby? Or
yes. So
how do people go through that?
You can actually go to jail for kidnapping your own child.
Because if the custody is given to the woman and you did that is a crime.
What lawyer said, the custody was given to the woman, but visitation rights was given to him.
So you go and then you carry the baby and you
only have to just do the visiting.
Yeah.
So that's a crime.
You're going to take the child away for a weekend. You can't keep them for more than the weekend. You have to return the child, but you decided to.
That's kidnapping. And I was thinking that maybe they didn't have that custody arrangement done, so he was just visiting and decided that, let me just.
They did, and there is a situation that I'm currently dealing with, and it's something quite similar.
Okay.
The man took the kid, and it's been over a year now. Nobody has seen or heard anything from them. They have gone everywhere. They've gone off the grid. You understand? So you can actually, be punished by the law for kidnapping your own child. People think that kidnapping only is for other people's children. You can kidnap your own child, and then you can go to jail for it.
So whilst in the process of the divorce, if, for example, because we're not living together, because already we're separated, sort of, if the child is with Sirwa, for example, and I'm the father of the child, if I'm coming to visit at that time, am I going to be given the opportunity to do so? Can I also say that, okay, you've kept the babies for 3 monts or 4 months?
So it's my
turn to...
Anyway, I like that example, but yes, the issues of custody are determined during the divorce proceedings. So we don't wait till the end.
Okay.
To determine, we don't wait.
That A should keep the baby or B should
keep they are as and when we're getting there. So taking care of the child, the maintenance aspects, who gets to take care of the child, and then all of that are determined as the case progresses.
Okay.
You understand? Okay. So the case begins. So for example, and then the children are resuming school. Who pays for the fees and then all of that? So the court makes pronouncements and makes orders. So rather not pronouncements, but orders. So what the court will order the right party to make maintenance provisions available for the child. When I say the right party, I mean it can either be the mother or the father or both, or once again, a third party. A person that has temporal or permanent guardianship of the child can be ordered to provide for that child when it comes to their feeding, their fees, their medical expenses,
where they live, and then all of that.
Okay.
Yes.
Right now, I'm interested in knowing, you see, earlier you mentioned that, okay, with a couple or with a family that have the parents who were married but are separated or divorced and are fighting in courts for the custody of a child, as compared to a couple who just lived together and had children. But due to certain circumstances, one has decided to leave. Are the processes the same?
Yes, so it's still custody, but one is commenced within a divorce proceedings.
Okay.
One is commenced, the other is commenced on its own. You understand?
Okay.
And so that's why they're dealing with them separately. Now, let me explain to our viewers and then all of us here the processes that the court goes through to decide who gets to keep the child.
Okay.
So if you're at home, you have been separated with your partner, and the issue has been who gets to keep the kids. Mostly, you have some of these issues popping up in customary law or customary marriages where the man feels as he's the dominant party in there, and that I'm taking my kids. If I take my kids, you leave the house and then you go, you pack your things and then you go. You're not the royal family. They have those exceptions that they can get to do that. But once you're not, the rules, nobody's above the law here in Ghana. And so nobody gets to take children by themselves without the blessing of the court. If your process commences in court, one of the first things the court will look at is that what is the gender of the kids.
Okay.
The laws in Ghana are that we will not give a female kid to the father during the divorce proceedings. They won't do that because there's a presumption that it's a girl. You would have to bathe her, you would have to take care of her. Of course, there are exceptions. You would have to take care of her. There are certain peculiar needs that, for us, the men, we may not be very sensitive to them. And so, unless you can establish that, you would have to impeach the character of the woman. So, the first rule is that the child, if it's a female or even a male, they would go to the mother. Once they are young enough, they always go to the mother. But if you can prove to the court that the mother has a very repugnant behavior, the mother is on drugs, she is mentally unstable, she is on some form of alcohol, she's an addict, that will affect the kid, or constantly beats them. I was in court recently where the court made an order to restrain the father from seeing the kids for over a year because the father was abusive to the kid. And so that is one of the first things you are looking at, that the child will go to the mother.
Okay.
Secondly, if you can prove or if you can establish that all those things are true about the mother, then the child can be given to you.
Okay.
But even to you, where it's a female child, you have a higher burden. Do you have your mother around, or do you have another female elderly person around who can assist in the upbringing of that child? So it's very, very important. 2, poverty is not an excuse. So you can't say we lived together in Tresaco and then now
he lost his job.
Not necessarily. So he lost his job, and you own the house. I know, so you own the house, and so there's divorce.
It's best you keep the baby instead of giving to the one.
Let me keep the baby and then pack your things and go away.
That is in the interest. It's in the interest of the child.
Well,
don't you think so?
What is in the interest of the child is determined by the court.
But the court knows very well that I am the one who's living at Tresaco and I have the means to take care of the child. That the one who has lost the baby or lost the job, the woman who has lost the job and is going to keep these kids and they'll be suffering.
So it doesn't work that way.
But I have the money.
Imagine.
So that's why we're saying that. That's why the law says that.
I have the money to take care of the kids.
Yeah, so
they're saying we should give it to somebody who is
imagine.
going to live somewhere in, I don't want to use places that have issues, but
exactly.
somewhere that, you know, will not fit my kids.
So that's why the court,
give the kids to me.
That's why the court has the power to order you to provide accommodation in the place where the children are used to. So they've grown up in.
When I have one sitting down there, I have about 8 bedrooms.
Not living with
lawyer.
him.
When I have 8 bedrooms,
yes,
these kids can comfortably live in. I have 8 cars in the house.
So if
they have environment where they can play. You say I should go and rent another one for another person.
If you can afford 8 bedrooms, you can afford another one for your kids at a place where they.
So someone else will come and enjoy.
I was going to get to there because it's something that a lot of men have at the back of their minds. A lot of men who are going through these sort of situations. Okay, if I'm to go and rent an apartment for my ex-wife and the kids, and she's, you know, trying to get into another relationship, if the guy wants to come and visit, that's where he's going to come.
We get
renting with his own money.
But at that point, it's the kids. So unless you're going to be worried that your kids will be in the same house with another person and all of that, then that's a different conversation. Right. But it's the paramount interest. What is supreme is the best interest of the children. And so the court can order you. The court can order you.
I disagree with the court.
The court will order you.
If you just tune in here on the show, it's our divorce series this morning, and we're talking about custody. And so, lawyer is explaining to us what it's all about, some of the processes involved, and all of that. If you just joined in, you can send your messages to our WhatsApp line, and also on social media. A bit later, we'll open the phone lines for you to share your experiences with us. If you've got a typical example that you want to, let us know about, you can send it to us. When you call in, you can also share that with us. Lawyer is here. He's going to also
for the divorce series, the phone lines, the WhatsApp line is the same as the phone line number. So you can start calling in. It's open. You can start calling in, and lawyer is here to share, to help you with the situations that you're in. But, before we get into our very first caller, let me tell you the story that I wanted. So I have this friend in the United States, right? And he decided to buy a house. Okay. And in the process of buying the house, he met somebody that he liked. And this lady was also trying to buy a house. Then he was like, okay, looking at the way prices of goods and services keep on, going up and down and all that, I am buying a house. So just come and move in with me because you and I are starting something very serious. We are planning on getting married. So just move in with me because he successfully bought his house. But the lady was still having issues with getting a house to buy. Then he said, just move in with me and let's just live together because we are already about getting married and all that. So in the process of living together, the lady got pregnant. She's pregnant, and then now my friend has found out that the lady already had not just 1, but 2 kids. Okay. And he is yet to have his first child with this lady. But the lady, they are both staying in this house. The lady said, I am not going anywhere. Okay. Because you and I have started something. We're about to start a family of our own. I believe we have our first caller.
So I'm just thinking about that right now, and I'm like,
it's a serious matter.
Who knows that saying you don't go anywhere? Oh, it's trouble. Anyway, hello, can you hear us? Lizzie, good morning. Hello, Lizzie. Lizzie, are you there? Lower the volume of your TV set, okay? All right, please, when you call, make sure you lower the volume of your TV set. It's better for all of us, okay? So please do well to do that. Yeah.
So continue my story. So this lady says she's not going away from it. She will make sure that the relationship works. But the guy feels like, you've lied to me. You don't have just 1 child. You have 2. You have to, and I found it, and I don't think that I can continue the relationship. So the guy is just, trying to accommodate her in the house. She's just a month away from delivering. So now he's thinking of, how would I be able to, have my baby close? Because this will be my first seed. This will be his first seed. how would he accommodate everything, the whole situation? But he's not interested in marrying the lady anymore. He even wants her to go away. But the lady to say no. It's not her.
Yeah, because right now
she has arrived.
You have a baby coming and all that. Oh, yes. Man.
I mean, this sounds like one of those that you send an invoice for, yeah? Yeah, so if your friend is listening, we're discussing what the courts will decide, consider in deciding.
All right, lawyer, give me a minute. Let's get to Kaswa. There's a caller there. Kaswa, hello, good morning. Your name?
Hello?
Hello, good morning, sir. Please, your name?
Please, my name is Kasim Mohammed.
Kasim Mohammed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We know you're calling us from Kaswa. Please go ahead. What's your problem, please?
Okay, my question is, if I live with a lady and you have given a baby with baby girl, and then there was a divorce between you and her, and you are taking care of the baby while the baby is with her mother about 2 years, and then later you ask the baby to come and stay with you like a weekend. So when you went for the baby, the next day Monday, and then you get a call with police station that they're supposed to come and kidnap the baby from them. Oh. And when you went there, they supposed to police that you about 2 years, you have never paid even one CD for the child for chop money. So after that, you as a father, you are taking that home. For now, the baby is not with her own mother, it's with her grandmother. Her mother is different place working, and she's with her grandmother. And you are taking care of the baby. And now they report you to a police station. I've never taken care of the baby about 2 years. And now, as a father, do you have right to take a baby with your child so that you can take care of the baby now?
Okay.
All right. Lawyer will try and respond to that.
Okay. So, as the father, as much as you have those rights, those responsibilities, you also have rights. Nobody can take your child away from you. You have the responsibility to take care of the children or the child. And so that's why sometimes on these things, it's always best to go through the court process and get the order. So when you are going through the court process and discussing the whole custody matters, some of the things that will come up is, how many days should the child stay with me when they are on vacation? On weekends, which days will the child, come? What are the anniversaries, holidays? All those things will be discussed in there. And so when the child now comes to you and spends like 3 days and 4 days, and some other party wants to be mischievous and they report you to the police station, you just show them the order from the court, indicating that you have legal rights to have your child, be with you. And then the fact that the child is with a grandmother, it doesn't really matter. Because like I indicated from the beginning, a neutral third-party person can be ordered to have custody of the child. And once the child is also a girl and it's a little child, the probability that you will get custody as the father of the child is very low.
Okay.
And so I would say that push to get more visitation rights, push to have care to be able to take care of their children for yourself. If you have any challenges with the amount that the court has either between the two of you, you've agreed at court, you can always go back to have it varied.
Is it the same if the child is a boy?
Yes, if the child is also a boy, if the child is younger, say below 10, it's going to, the probability that the child will be with the mother is extremely high.
High, okay.
If they are old enough, so that's one of the other things that the court will look at. So the court will look at how old the kids are. Of course, when they are above 18, they are no more kids, so they can decide who they want to stay with. But if they are below 18, so between 18 to say 10, 11, they are old enough to form an opinion. And so the court will ask them, in deciding who who to have custody of that child. In addition to all the things that the court will do, they'll ask them, Kwame, and it will not be done like in front of both of you. So the child is alone, and most of these custody proceedings are done in the chambers of the judge. So it's not in open court. You can't just walk into a divorce proceedings or a custody proceedings and listen. No, unless the parties involved, and we don't want to put tension on the kid, and so we'll put the kid alone in front of the judge. The judge makes them feel comfortable. The parents will be there, of course. One of the parents or both, depending on the situation. And then they'll ask the kid, who do you feel more comfortable with? Why? Why do you feel more comfortable with this person? And after the probings, the court will factor that into his decision.
Okay.
And say that kid will be with mother or kid will be with father. So, first of all, the story as mentioned by the caller is not complete. Does he have custody over the child? 1. 2, the period that was agreed that the child will stay with him, did they agree on even a period? As in the child will be with him for 2 days, 3 days, or nothing was agreed upon? And some of these things are civil matters. I don't understand why some of these things are taken to the police, and sometimes why the police entertain it in the first place. But ultimately, I know that the police will do the right thing and then direct you to go to the appropriate quarters for help.
But I'm thinking of when it comes to the courts, and one parent would have to get the child like visitation days for just a weekend. I'm wondering, okay, so when does the weekend start and end?
So all those things are matters you can agree on during the process.
Say Monday to Friday.
Or the weekend starts from Friday or Saturday and ends on Saturday. Like Kasim mentioned, he went for the child for the weekend, and then Monday he's been reported to the police for kidnapping.
So he was supposed to have returned them on Sunday evening at most.
Yes. So if you discuss all those matters, sometimes we feel like, oh, these are trivials, these are not.
Because it's just 1 day per way. Sunday and I didn't say Monday, and I have issues.
And you see, the thing is, sometimes you have to hear two sides of the story.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe it was even a Wednesday. Good morning, KMJ. This is Nana Yabua from Kumasi. I'm not a married man yet, but I think divorce shouldn't be an option. Couples should make a conscious effort to sustain their marriages, because divorce affects the innocent children than the parents themselves. I hope my marriage lasts forever, since I don't belong to the school of thought. Divorce. Okay, so that's Nana Yabua from Kumasi. Lawyer will explain that. In fact, they have never been excited about passing any divorce judgment or whatever it is.
But I actually agree with Nana Yabua.
Yeah, but there's a major issue.
At the expense of the happiness of the couple.
No. So I agree with Nana Yabua that divorce shouldn't be your first option. So I'll put the first in front of the option.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be your first option. You need to explore all other ways to make it work, including sometimes seeing a counselor. Sometimes, people call you, and then, like some of the calls I received, between Thursday to today, sometimes the issue is financial, and finances put a strain on marriages. So if you can let your other partner know that, look, I'm doing something about it. Can you help me? Can we figure this thing out? The issue, yes, I know we're having challenges, but the issue is finances. I'm struggling right now, but you can see I'm putting efforts in place. Yeah. So give me a little bit more time. Let's work things out. Sometimes, most of the times, the partners are very reasonable, unless there's something else happening behind the scene.
Yeah.
It's not just, So that's it.
Okay, we'll go to our next comment, but let's pick our next caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Emanuela, how are you doing?
Please, I'm fine.
Okay, good. What do you want to tell lawyer this morning?
Please, I want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, I want to ask if another man can be given the right to father a child. In fact, that is the man that the child will call daddy. The love is there. He's the one feeding, the school fees, everything. As the dad is somewhere that we don't even know about, he doesn't want, like, in fact, it was a mistake that happened, during school, and then he's nowhere to be found. Now another man is in the picture. So he's taking care. In fact, I'll be there and you see the love between them. You think, oh, maybe as if he's the father of the child.
Yeah.
And I want to ask if he can be given the right to take a father that child in the future, because this is not even about forced marriage, like as I said. And then the last time, just recently, I was there and then I received a Momo alert from using the name, like the dad is the real father. I saw the name, then I was like, in fact, 200 cedis from him without even calling her. And I called back and he was like, in the reference, he put the name there for feeding. And I have to send the money back. In fact, I feel like it's an invoice. So he told me he will continue sending it back. So he did, and I have to send back. He continuously, was changing the amount, then he sent the amount, then he sent. And I don't even want to make the dad, the one the child is calling the father now, feel bad. Because receiving that money from him too, and then, taking, while the child is comfortable with that. So, I want to get an advice.
Wow.
If you can help me. Thank you.
All right. Yes, it is possible. In fact, you can adopt your own child, and then be the mother and father of the child alone. It's legally possible.
Okay.
And so it is possible for your new partner to go through the legal process of adopting that child to become an adoptive parent of that child. So yes, it's possible.
So with the original father trying to come into the scene now, what happens?
So when it comes to adoption, you need consent of the biological father. So when she started, it was going well because you can't hear from the person and you don't know who he is. You haven't heard from him in ages.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden,
he's sending 200
monies are coming in.
He will continue sending.
Yes, because he's trying to.
The woman feels it's an insult to send 200 cedis after all these years.
But
especially when there's someone else who seems to be doing better.
Well, there is a process of going through for that person, that new person, to become legally recognized as the father of that child.
Okay.
Yes. So
it will be best she does that.
Yes, it's best she speaks to a lawyer, and then the lawyer will assist her go through that process to legally recognize the other person as the father of the kid.
You know what I was thinking about? That maybe his absence was due to the fact that he knew he was incapable.
So now that he's capable, he's coming.
He's gathered himself properly, and he's trying to.
So he should be sending more than 200 cedis.
Small.
They are doing within their means.
Exactly.
This one says, please, I need his number. I have the same issue and I need help. Okay. The last time we gave his number, there's problems, so he's not been sleeping.
I think lawyer is fine. He's fine.
He's fine. The only problem is not been sleeping. Okay. I'm Ajua in Upper East. He left us 6 years ago. My girl is now 8 years. He's back saying he will only take care of the child if he has custody. Now, what chances do I have in keeping my child? So he left, came back, and now he says that the only reason he would want to take care of the child is if he has custody of the child.
Well, custody, first of all, how old is that child?
8
years now. The man left then when 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
By law, it's very, very unlikely that he will get that custody. And then if he goes to court, he can get the court, or she can get the court to order the man to make reasonable contributions or maintenance towards the upkeep of the child. Then again, when maintenance is in question, the court also has to deal with who is working, which among the two of you is working, and which among the two of you makes the most income,
right?
And which among the two of you can support. So both of you would contribute. One person takes care of the fees, the other person takes care of the feeding. One person takes care of clothing, another person takes care of housing. And so the court will definitely make those orders so that she's not disadvantaged. And ultimately, that child is also not disadvantaged because they will be able to get what they need to be taken care of to become responsible adults and citizens of this country in future.
But her chances are very high.
Yes, very.
It should be that way.
Because that's what she wanted to know, her chances. So, and that's what I said to her.
Yeah, so this one says, hi, good morning. My question is, my ex-wife and I went through customary marriage and got divorced in 2019. We have a son who is 4 years and is with his grandma, my ex-wife's mom. My issue is I've been trying to reach out to my ex-in-law, but realized that she's blocked my number from calling her. Whenever I ask my ex-wife, who is currently working outside Ghana, she tells me to hold on till she returns to Ghana next month to be able to see our son. I'm not fighting for custody. I just want to see him often. But in this case, I can't because of the woman's attitude towards me. What can I do?
You shouldn't be prevented from seeing your son. Whoever has custody is not a barrier to you seeing your son. And so I'll tell, okay, he didn't mention his name. I'll tell him that, first of all, attempt having this, peacefully between the two of you, and then try and get her to have a visitation schedule or something amongst yourselves. If it's not working, go to court, find a lawyer, speak to him, and then both of you will come and do that which you could not do amongst yourself. You come and prepare the visitation schedule in court. And then the court will put its blessing on it. And when the court does that, one person cannot unilaterally decide to go against the orders of the court, because then that will be contempt.
Okay, and there are consequences of that as well.
Serious ones.
Great. Now, this one says, we have lots of them, so I'm going to probably read all of them, and then you decide which one you want to answer, and then the rest would have to call you. Now, this one says, good morning, please. I have a daughter with a man that I'm not married to, and he left us when my daughter was just 6 months, and since then, I have not set my eyes on him, neither her daughter, and he is now back from his hideout for the past 7 years now, and many times he called. All he wants is to come and see her, but I'm afraid he may take her away from me because he also talk about her spending time with him. What should I do in this case, please? Another one here says, good morning, Lawyer Sena. I'm George from Nigeria. I so much love this topic. This has been the issues behind divorces, deciding who takes care of the kids. What should be done in this situation? Well, lawyer has spoken a lot about that as well. Good morning. I'm Dolores Teston from Malam Bawe. Please, can you bring a lawyer to explain about death and properties? Reason for this is my mom got married to a man. She traveled out after a year of the marriage and didn't come for over 8 years. Now my mom is dead for 9 years. If I add up all these years, it will be 14 years, but both of them stay in different places. Now my problem is my mom built a house before she got married to this man. After the death of my mom, he refused to leave the house. I need help. The man is still in the house that was built by their mother after he left for a long time and came back.
All right.
This one says, hi, good morning to you all. God ordained marriage, and marriage is a mystery. I dated a guy for 2 good years and later got to know he was gay. After 3 months in the marriage, friends are blaming me for divorcing the marriage because I am a Christian. Please, I have a child who is 6 years with my husband and he traveled abroad. I am a student as well. He used to send us money, but no longer for the past 1 year. I confronted him and he told me he is not interested in the child anymore. The child is with my mother and it has not been easy. I confronted his family, but to no avail. Please help me out. He didn't do anything, naming ceremony too.
Okay, so you cannot say you're not interested in your child. It's an innocent child, and nobody forced both of you to bring that child into the world. And as soon as, God bless Ghana, a baby touches on this soil, has all the protections under the Constitution and all the laws within Ghana. So it doesn't matter whether you even stay here or not. So long as the child is Ghanaian, the child has protections under law. And so you cannot say you will not take care of that child. The long arm of the law will come after you.
All right. The other questions, we'll answer them on Thursday.
Yeah,
lawyer will try.
Lawyer will take care of all these questions on Thursday. And so,
would you want me to talk about the other things that the courts are going to look at in finishing up with the custody, or we'll continue?
We'll continue on Thursday. Our time is up, so we'll continue on Thursday. I'm sure there are others who want to also ask you personal questions that you would have to attend to at the end of the day. But Thursday, we're going to look at from where we stopped today, right?
I think, lawyer, you're going to put your number out again?
Yes, I'll do that once it's already out there.
There already,
yes,
yeah.
Yes. So you can reach me on 0242 577 485. 0242 577 485.
All right. So lawyer Sena Hoto is Esquire, and he's coming from Parkwood and Mosaic. It's a place you can locate East Legon here in Accra, and that's where he practices. And if you need any help, you can just call him. Go there to the office. Don't just call and no follow up. When you call, you go to the office, and then he sits down with you. Exactly. There are other part of the issues that he has to actually get to know before he'll be able to deal with it.
Make sure that you are taking this along. It's very important.
The money.
Very, very important.
Very important.
Anyway, that will be our conversation for today. You're on our divorce series. Lawyer, thank you so much. I mean, we couldn't have done this without you. You've been very, very helpful, and we appreciate you. Anything you want to say to marriage people, maybe to
anything at all.
Those who have been calling you?
Yes. I would say first and foremost that suicide is not an option. If you're contemplating it, get help. Suicide is never, ever an option. And so your marriage should not lead you down that path. Again, if you're having challenges with your children, custody, the dissolution, and then in the later episodes where we'll talk about the properties, get in touch, and then let's see how we can help.
Okay, so with the lady that mentioned that we should get a lawyer who's going to talk about death and properties.
Yeah.
Lawyer would definitely get into that, you know, in the course of the series.
Exactly.
So make sure that you are with us Mondays and Thursdays throughout the entire of July for the divorce series.
Yeah, because I don't understand why my mother built a place. You go a long time, you come back, we finish the funeral, go, you say, go.
Properties actually acquired before marriage do not form part of marital properties, and so the other spouse has no interest in it.
So if my mom built alone and you are coming, go and you say, we'll find a way and sack you from that.
We'll definitely discuss that on a Thursday. So thank you.